We're going to be talking about IndusInd Bank. First, come out with its earnings with an inline set of numbers this time around. No significant disappointment coming in as of now, because what we are comparing the numbers with is ET Now poll, where the company has reported a profit figure this time of 2,202 crores, where we were expecting the number 2,250 odd crores, and that's a jump of 4% sequentially. Company's PPOP has come in at 3,909 crores, in line with the estimates, as well as the asset quality is also seen to be stable. No significant improvement or deterioration on a sequential basis. Almost a flattish sort of a growth, just 1 pips of decline on a sequential basis when it comes to the GNPA as well as net NPA number. GNPA clocked in at 1.93% and NNPA figure at 0.57%. So inline set of numbers coming in from IndusInd Bank, but if we talk about the stock performance, there has no significant movement we have spotted in the past 1 month. So post the earnings, how is the stock expected to react, and which are some of the key monitorables for the company? And in the con call, let's try and find out an answer to that, and we are being joined by our expert Mahantesh onto the phone line. Very good afternoon, Mahantesh. Your first cut on IndusInd Bank seems to be an inline set of numbers, because for now what we were seeing from all these financial names, a bit of a disappointment here or there we were spotting, but no such mark on IndusInd Bank numbers. What's your take on that?
So you're right, there seem to be not much in terms of any outperformance, nor is there any disappointments. So in-line kind of numbers is what we are able to see. Particularly you did talk about the asset quality. We virtually find on a sequential basis, quarter-on-quarter basis, no change in the gross NPA or the net NPA number, 1.93 and 0.57. and even from an ROA perspective, 1.88%, it seems to be quite steady. But then when we look at the granularity in terms of the numbers related to the advances kind of growth and the deposit growth, then they seem to have done quite well there. They are in the single digit in terms of growth rate numbers, but that's understandable. That's still good.
Okay, so that's the first cut coming in from Mahantesh. But Aditya, what is your understanding on IndusInd numbers as of now? We just have the headline numbers. What specifically onto the con call will you be looking at?
Yes, good evening. So the results continue to be very stable as we expect from all private sector banks. There's nothing to get disappointed about, but I have to point out that the deposit growth is a bit lower at about 14%. When you compare it with other top banks, you will find that their deposit growth is higher, which is understood given the bank. Now, what we need to look on the con call is point number 1 is what are the slippages that have been reported this quarter, and also how is the micro banking business within IndusInd Bank. Remember, Bharat Financial was merged with IndusInd Bank, so we need to understand how is the micro loans business really doing up. That's the first point. And also second point, IndusInd is predominantly a vehicle financing bank. Vehicle finance business is a big part of IndusInd Bank. So how are they shaping up there, and what is the performance there? So these are some of the parameters that we will look at. However, the results are very stable. There's nothing to complain about per se on the results as of now.
Okay, with this, we'll let you go on that, Aditya. Thank you so much for joining us. With your first take on IndusInd Bank numbers, let's see how the stock reacts tomorrow after a stable set of earnings this time around. But let's continue the discussion onto the earnings then, and let's talk about Wipro, because the company has also come out with its numbers, wherein the profit figure as well as the revenue both have disappointed this time around. The profit has been clocked at 2,667 crores. That's a decline on a sequential basis, and that's actually lower than what we were expecting at ET Now, because our estimates was around 2,800 crores. And when it comes to the revenue figure in rupee term, then 22,516 crores is what the company has reported, almost a flattish sort of a growth on a sequential basis, but that's actually lower than our estimates as well, because we were expecting a number higher by around 300 crores. So on both the parameters, there's a disappointment coming in. Key to watch definitely will be the guidance by the company, because the analysts were expecting there was actually quite a varied assumption for the guidance. So the expectation that we have ranges from minus 1.5% and goes up to 1% on a quarter-on-quarter basis, constant currency growth in Q3 of FY24. So let's see what is the number on that front. But Mahantesh, your first cut on Wipro, how are you seeing at the numbers? Okay, so we will wait by to know more onto the numbers, but definitely a weak set coming in from Wipro this time around. The company, because we were seeing a weak set of numbers coming in from the IT companies, definitely, because when it comes to the numbers from LTI, Mindtree, as well as Infosys, all these companies have been cutting their guidance, and let's see what sort of a guidance Wipro comes up with. But Mahantesh, your first cut on Wipro, there has been a disappointment onto the profit as well as revenue figure. So what exactly onto the numbers will you be looking at in the con call? What's your expectation on guidance?
So firstly, I haven't seen their press release or the numbers per se in terms of the fact sheet, but yes, you did talk about the overall profit dropping on a quarter-on-quarter basis. That's a big disappointment, and that number is substantially lower, remind you. Even with the revenues, there seems to be also quarter-on-quarter quite a bit of a hit. So I consider this is a very poor result. From a con call, of course, what one would like to understand is that what's really happened in terms of their execution of orders. Are there any ramp downs that they've faced? Are there any delays that they're facing is the primary question one would like to find an answer for.
Well, thank you for that, Mahantesh. But even Wipro's consulting business, especially in the Europe segment, the European region, it was expected that there will be the weakness will continue in that region as well. And as per the press release, European region, the other regions like America, they have seen some stable kind of growth. But Europe has disappointed again. It's around 6% down on quarter basis. So how do you see this trending going forward?
So, like I said, the problem that seems to have arisen for Wipro is that they've undertaken a restructuring exercise sometime back, and that doesn't seem to have really aligned them for the business challenges ahead. And Europe is the case where they should have done better. One would have expected a much better performance. So the root cause does primarily appear to be a prima facie appears to be related to the execution delays. So can't really comment. I haven't been able to see the fact sheets as yet properly.
Just let me help you with some more numbers then, and we have the guidance by the company. And once again, what we were seeing, the trend in the IT companies, they have been lowering their guidance. But for Wipro, what the analysts were expecting for Q3 FY24, the guidance, the range that we saw from the analyst coming in was from minus 1.5% going higher towards 1%. But what Wipro is saying that they have a guidance of minus 3.5% to minus 1.5% in constant currency terms, where they expect their revenue from the IT services business segment to be in the range of $2,617 million to $2,672 million. Is that a cut? Was that a number actually were you expecting for Wipro, like minus 3.5 to minus 1.5% of constant currency growth?
So that's a disappointment. Actually, one would have looked at the guidance starting from 0 to probably 1.5. It seems to be quite worse than that. Sometimes what happens is that there could be execution delays which can be made up in the subsequent quarters thereafter. So there seems to be no such relief coming in So obviously a bit disappointed with the guidance as well.
Okay, with this, Mahantesh, we'll let you go on that. Thank you so much for joining us today on ET Now and helping with your first cuts on Wipro numbers. So a disappointment coming in from Wipro, where the company has given a guidance for their IT business from minus 3.5 to minus 1.5%. The analysts were definitely not expecting this particular number. But when it comes to the number front, then a disappointment there as well, because the profit as well as revenue has come in lower to the ET Now estimates, while the margins this time around have come in line. So the guidance is definitely weak, and the IT services revenue is also seen to be weak. The company says that their total booking is now at $3.8 billion, and Q2 constant currency growth is now at minus 2%. That's at the lower end of the range. So that was about Wipro earnings.